I welcome you to Talk Literature once again. I had just been thinking that this conversation should it remain just once a week or in 10 days' time, or I should extend it into some more frequent discourses. Today, we are going to discuss a topic uh, which is fiction basically, and it is also about fiction. And I hope you like it. Uh, my attempt is that I give quality input on anything, on any subject, and it is not basically an academics input. So I was just uh, reading some quotation that a writer is never a good teacher. So considering myself a writer, so I am not a good teacher either way. So I had been working as a trainer in a sense in my career in training institutes. I had been dealing with teaching, and I personally like teaching because it is with teaching that you learn yourself. What makes me like teaching is that I have to prepare myself, I have to prepare my notes, and then I have to see, I have to have some mental questions in my mind if I am in some solitary classroom or in some such space where I don't have any active audience. And uh, then I also have this thing in mind that whatever I am imparting should have a lot good information in it. If I don't say that, I can impart some wisdom because these days everyone has a lot of wisdom of his or her own. And in a way, I'd been learning from my juniors and from my students. So this is sort of a two-way interaction. Whenever you're teaching something, you also learn something. And why do we do that? Why should I be teaching or someone be teaching or voluntarily teaching? As we have seen with the missionaries or as we have seen with all those great sages, they were not teacher in that sense that they would just go and stand in the classroom. They would just sit somewhere and people would come to them to learn. So curiosity is natural to humans. They like to know. They like to know about themselves. They like to know about their surroundings. They think about the universe. They think about so many areas of life which we don't know about. There are some answers and there are some areas that we are completely ignorant about. So we tend to reach out to some people to know better and understand where we stand as humans. Apart from this, there is one area of socialization. We like to socialize. It is not only with us, we have seen in nature as a whole. So, tree, if there is a solitary tree, it won't grow well. But if there are many trees together, so then they support each other. And then they support other life as well. Same is the case with the birds. If we see that why the birds fly in flocks, or many other species, they live in colonies. They travel in groups. So we are basically social beings, I would say. That's why it necessitates this thing that we should be learning from each other. Other reason of our learning is that we are so uncertain, we are so insecure about ourselves and about our future that we tend to know from each other. We may err, and we do. And then we seek some guidance. And the guidance is either written somewhere in the books, or you just go and sit in the classroom. And then there is that practical utility of it. Since ancient times, civil service had been competitive service. If you are employed for a civil service assignment for a life, so you need to have learned a lot. Knowledge wise, you should be above others. And then there comes the skill, and then there are specialized areas, and then there is no limit to it. So, after all, what I'm saying is that it is very natural to us that we should be learning from each other. There had been another aspect of this phenomena, how certain civilizations are too much ahead. What makes a civilization? When there are large number of learned people and large number of learning people, that constitutes a civilization. Civilizations are not brute force. Had that been a civilization, so Mongols would have made a civilization. They did not make a civilization. They were a horde. They came, they burned, they destroyed. And then after that, they did not know what to do. They had no their alphabet. They asked the local historians to write about their achievements, and then they converted to the faith of those whom they had conquered. That is just one example. There are so many other examples that civilization is not purely force, not brute force at all. Nowadays, there is a quite a discussion of global south going on. Global south is basically that concept, that geographical area, conceptual geographical area, who had been colonized or exploited. And colonization had been in human history for a very long time, since the times of Greeks, Romans, and then later on, and then even Egyptians, Iranians, all had been colonizing other nations, other states, annexing the states, and then the states becoming independent entities later on. We have seen in our own history. We are seeing it. It's an ongoing phenomenon. Basically, the concept of the world is more organic than fixed. History is not very linear. History has its own pace. It stops, it goes, it reverses to and fro movement, and then it goes forward. We are part of that history. Well, in the global south, if I am saying that uh, at this stage, post colonialism is just a topic. I had been studying it and I had been talking about it as well. In post colonial studies, which are more important now as compared to the colonial studies. the colonies. From the colonies, all those who had been subjugated, who had been colonized, they got freedom. But the post colonial order was more oppressive in nature because what came in replacement in the form of elite or in the form of fractured political systems, and that had been quite glaring in certain parts of the world like Africa, or in some places that had not been colonized, so they did not evolve institutions themselves. So they were quite vulnerable to exploitation, to invasions, and sanctuary for non-state actors. Non-state actors, those are also called proxies nowadays, have become very powerful. Not that they are challenging the state authority, but they disrupt the society. They disrupt the society in such a manner that at times you feel that the state is quite uh, helpless to tackle them. This is the biggest challenge that global south is facing, that how to bring order to that post-colonial era that is almost close to a century now, and what steps should be taken. When we are defining the steps, so the first thing is to intellectually define it, that what global south or post-colonialism is, or even post-colonialism era that is going on. Second point is that what emancipation means is emancipation is the emancipation of those elite who had been close to the colonial regimes, or is it emancipation for the common man? This conflict is also going on, and then there had been populist politics all over. The other aspect is regionalism, regional parties, regional groups, ethnicities. They are asserting themselves. They have their problems less with their ethnicities than with their marginalization. They have thoroughly been marginalized. They are not in the mainstream. They are disenfranchised. Then they are tagged one way or another, and then they are told that they are the people who are loyal to the state or who are in the mainstream. So that's the bigger picture that has to be charted out, that how to bring those communities into the mainstream. When we look at that phenomena globally, we see that ethnicity, or even if it is faith-based, is just an expression of that dispossession which they are suffering. So there is an issue of governance as well. And when they see that through generations they haven't been able to make any progress at all in an era when things are opened up, when any uh, thing that happens at any place in any corner of the world, so that becomes visible. So that visibility is also a very big challenge to the states and the struggling states, I would say. We also go through some stage of ecological disaster, I would say. And this happened just in last couple of uh, decades. And we see that not many forests everywhere in the world. And if we see our area, our forests, So we see that forests don't exist anymore. Uh, that's one major issue that the world is facing, and that's also a challenge to us. There is gender discrimination. It has got cultural backgrounds. There are closed societies that don't allow their women to come out. They don't want them empowered. And empowerment is not simply an expression of freedom by a woman. Empowerment is, in fact, financial empowerment. A woman should be empowered to make her own decisions, her own financial decisions. That complete dependency on the other gender, it jeopardizes her personality and her dignity. Then later on, that generation that comes up, they grow with traumas, domestic traumas, national traumas. These are just a few of my preliminary words for today's discussion. Once again, thank you with me. We shall continue on.